Hi, folks. It's Sunday evening, 8 p.m. Central European Bruges time. We're talking photography, so this must be Andy's photo show. Welcome one and all, and hope you are doing well. As I am my own producer, of course, I have to look that we are indeed on air, and the wife has the sound off on her tablet, because of course she's in the corner for some reason watching this on her screen instead of me right here. But anyways, that's not for now or neither that. Welcome, welcome, welcome in this middle episode of December. Welcome voor mijn Vlaams vriendinnen, natuurlijk. As you might have heard, I'm working on my Flemish, so hello. Goedenavond. And this evening, we're going to be talking about photography, obviously, because this is Andy's photo show. So why don't we get on with things with what we're talking about properly, which is gifting ideas for photographers part 2. Last episode I went through the fundamentals of looking around for gifts for photographers, beginners, intermediates, and pros, much like I do when I give photo advice here, there, everywhere. And this week I thought I'd get a little more specific with some gift ideas in case you're struggling after that because you've been busy and haven't done your research like I suggested, even though I gave you some blatant ideas last week. Before that, though, I thought I would just, of course, remind you that we are broadcasting live, but you can always catch this on the replay if you are tuning in later. We're broadcasting from facebook.com/Andy McPhoto, ANDYMCPHOTO, and you can catch us the next day onwards at youtube.com, Andy McPhoto, with that slash, of course, in there, like Guns N' Roses. Yes, we talk photography here, but we also have fun and keep it on the loose because that's how I'm rolling right now. In fact, before we get into the gift giving for photographers and we can see what's going on, I guess I can tell you about my week in Bruges because that's how I like to start this show. We're going to click over to some photos in a moment. But I'm going to start my week in Bruges talking about, as I switch over and make sure everything's looking good. Yep. This little thing finally came around to print and reality. Maybe you boys and girls know it. I'm guessing most of you tuned in and know my photo work and stuff already. This is a print real world edition of Being in Bruges, Landscapes. Of course I flubbed it. I always do. Bruges Landscapes, Unlocked for Light. A story of space, silence, and simplicity. Why can't I do my own marketing proper there? Yes, the book exists in real-world form. As you know, you can go over to phototourbruges.com and see the full 3D gallery of the exhibit. But after a slight delay with the printer and working it all out properly, we have some real-world examples for you and you and you. Let me just do that. Oh, look at that. Here, I'm going to go one page back. And you can see if you haven't... This is the demo copy. Don't worry, you're not receiving this if you bought one. There's the market square in its 28 by 28 glory on each side in the centimeter range. So that was a nice start to my week in Bruges. Just got to get that out top of the show. And of course, remind you, like I said, you can check out the full 3D exhibit. You can also see some other stuff there. And yeah, you can order a book if you're interested. But I'm not here to plug throughout the hour, so don't worry. You're fairly safe there. And this is just the kicking around copy. My dear wife will be catching things tonight. So that was a nice start to my week in Bruges, and let's make sure everything's working there. Yep, all good. Well, boys and girls, I also had a little birthday. So that was kind of nice, and I won't dwell on that long because we're a photo show, but I will relate it directly to photography by saying my wife gave me photos from holidays past since no one's doing proper holidays right now, and this was our first big holiday together back in like 2002? 2002 at Niagara Falls in my native Canada, all framed up and looking good, and I'm going to keep it moving so you don't get too good a look. You can see, though, it has a bicycle, and that's okay because I like bicycles. There's no penalty on the framing choices there. My lovely wife, thank you very much. Don't forget, photography, memories. This is one of the greatest parts of having cameras, so get those photos for you and frame them up. And to get to the slightly awesome Bruges stuff that I get on my birthday, at least this year, and most years actually with this one. We have a purple bag from, you know where it's from, the chocolate line, one of our only Michelin star chocolatiers on this earth, and the one that happens to live and be based out of Bruges, Belgium. And he's a fine chocolatier, which is a heavy understatement. Dominique, dear God, you are doing magic. Inside that, I have this, which is little chocolate line chocolates. Little chocolate line chocolates. Here's one that looks like the earth. And no, you can't eat it because we're only watching a video. But my wife can take that and probably eat a couple because she's welcome to it. Oh, and of course, birthday cards. Thank you for birthday cards, people, just to say that. And that I'm super dad, and I have a pin to prove it. Thank you, dear. Of course, it's from her. Then moving on and trying to get not too far away from photography, gang. One last thing that I just want to share with you over the internet on this 11th episode of Andy's Photo Show is, well, let me show you the box. You're going to hate me if you love beer and can't come to Bruges this year. That's Westvleteren, which is a beautiful Abbey beer that is considered one of the finest beers in the world. This is not a sponsorship. This is a Christmas gift of a 6-pack from Steph. And I thank you so much for this, Steph. I have enjoyed these. We only have 2 left, and this is one of them. And obviously, since it's my birthday, I get to open it and enjoy it on air, I think, without breaking any laws. Let me know if I am. I, of course, have my support small businesses bottle opener from the Bruges Experience, the Bruges Beer Experience. What am I with branding names? That's right on the Market Square, and you can see an interactive history of Bruges to give them a free plug because they are awesome, and we all need to help each other in these tough times. And in these tough times, sometimes you get to enjoy a fine Belgian beer like a Westvleteren. My wife needed that for the photo. I'm sorry, boys and girls and otherwise. There's our glass, and let's just wrap up the birthday talk by saying that 10 years in catering has not let me down. I'm sure my beer expert friends are telling me how there's too much head, but it's my birthday, so haha. Cheers to you, my friends. Cheers to you, my darling wife. And hey, life's good. So good. Complex. And Belgian. Like the Belgians. Yes, so that's what's going on in birthday week. I'm also watching a little Belgian TV lately, so man, I'm loving Aiden Quake. Season 3, and it's hilarious, eh? That's for my local friends. All right, enough birthday talk, but I will keep that beer at hand because it's my birthday and I get away with this, even though I don't even drink that much. Hey, this is us on a Sunday night. And ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some photography by me clicking off the big screen full color version of me to go like this. And just remind you, of course, to love everything in photography because that's how it works. If you want to improve your photography, much less anything in life, you love it, you work on it, you see the result. And by that I mean, look at the 2 sides of coin in photography where you have the creative side, your love, your heart, your passion. You're making your art. You're speaking from right there. That is an awesome part, and I endorse that part 10,005%, and I endorse you working on that part by letting it fly and putting it into your photography. Love it and just bask in that creative glow of it all. Then next to that, of course, you have the practical side of love, as I like to remind you at the beginning of every show after I babbled on for a bit. So what would that mean for those new viewers? It would mean the love of photography in the practical sense. The work. Do your 2 minutes on the scene where you compose your shot a little bit better. Maybe wait for that person in the crowd who doesn't work to get out of your shot and just basically, work the scene a little bit. Could also be more than $50 in camera because the gear is not everything until you need it to be everything. So think about the love with saving your pennies and getting a better camera if needed. And just generally, don't forget to care and do that practical end either through listening to me babble on through your photography or figuring out something on getting yourself smarter at this. That's education, I think. Wow, one sip of West Fleetrin and we're off the rails. Happy birthday. This might be the last episode. Let's see how much I shame myself. Let's see how the photos go. All right. That said, for the quick recap in Bruges, you can see as we pull out to Lightroom that we don't have too much to go through this week. I want to just give a quick reminder that Wintergloed, our Bruges Light Festival, is on for its second year, despite the difficult year that 2020 is, whether it's your birthday or otherwise. And since I live here, or if I lived in Belgium or could get to Belgium safely and securely and logically, I would consider checking out the Winter Glow. We'll talk a couple of details there for a bit of photo advice in a second, but let me just show you this light festival in action. This was shown on last week's show, so I know it's repeating, but, you know, beautiful little festival. That's the Zaan Square, and you can see they're projecting all these awesome images and all that sort of thing. So I just did a quick wide shot so you could see that. And it's something I would certainly check out whether you want to take some interesting night photography or otherwise. It's 100% free. The city had a big flood on the first weekend of people, so they shut it down last weekend, but now it's back 7 on 7 every night from, I believe, about 3:30, I think. No, excuse me, 4:30 the lights go on. I would recommend, as they have recommended, and I'll talk about in a second, that you go a little bit later, especially if you're into your photography, because the crowds peak out around 6:30 or 7:30, but we'll talk about exact numbers in a second. And just to show you a little more, as well as a shot I caught last week, this is before it got dark over at the Behenhof, which is the old nunnery that you can see in the background, but juxtaposed with a juxtaposed, for you taking this seriously, yeah, juxtaposed with this beautiful light that's being exposed really well to some UV. Excuse my stutter there. And just for a quick peek backstage, this is frame 1, frame 2, and frame 3. So I took 3 shots using bracketing, and then I put them together as an HDR so I could get that result that gave me the full range of light between the 3. So quick little backstage peek, and you can see also off camera, sometimes as it gets dark, I get a little off angle. But let me just quickly show you one from last week also. That was when it was full dark. I just wanted to show you the comparison and do Wintergloed justice. Maybe I shouldn't have any more beer, dear. Yeah. That's it dark, and that looks beautiful. Moving on and waiting a bit on the beer. I told you I'd tell you a little bit more about the conditions of Wintergloed, or the Winter Glow if you want to anglicize it. This is our Mayor Dirk de Vouw, as most of you know, and as some of you know, our police chief Van Nuffel. They held a press conference on Friday night, and I wanted to get to that because I'm going to be talking more about Wintergloed over the next few weeks for photography. And I also wanted to make sure that you knew that with the chief of police there, as well as the mayor, they are not just there for the photo op, but to advertise how the city of Bruges has a barometer going on. And I'll show you that in a second fully, just so you can get a quick peek in the website. But if you go to www.bruges.be, B-R-U-G-G-E, I still have some work on my Flemish. But yes, that will give you a live update based on cell phone traffic, how busy it is there. So that's really good to keep in mind. And if you're going to Wintergloed, it's on till January 10th. So there's plenty of time. I'd suggest later in the evening during the week, especially for you photographers, and double check this website. So from the mayor, from the chief of police, from me, some free advice there. And then as we click around and sum up the quick week in Bruges next to party celebrations and only one press conference that we shot as photographers. You can see that I have taken a photo with a photographer as well as another because I find those stories interesting too. And it's a reminder, I hope, to you boys and girls to get that official pressy moment where everything looks right and tight to represent. And then you get a little extra of the story in one way or another and play around. Real fun. Real glad they let me access to this. And speaking of press with my book in physical form, I went to City Hall and presented it to the mayor. This was actually delayed a little bit from November, so apologies if you missed it then because you didn't get the updated mail, but everyone seems to have caught on. This is me and the wife and Mr. Mayor Dirk de Vouw, the boss and head cheese of the place, at the doors of City Hall so I can present the book to the City Archive. And just getting quick with it and moving on, you can see that's me, or at least my view from the desk, as the cultural alderman Nico Blontrok talks about some of the various projects going on, which I fully encourage. And you can see another little cheeky shot. While it was my big moment sitting next to the mayor, I had to at least try to get a couple of backstage moments and my perspective on things. Hey, and that includes the crowd. You can see it was very thin, and with the conditions right now in Corona, that was pretty much on purpose. I didn't advertise this publicly to just keep it quiet and invite a few friends. Most people had to work, but frankly, this was just such an awesome thing. And for me and the wife over there in the corner looking over, it was all good. It's all gravy, baby. My wife was proud of me. Oh, and while we're here, that is the chief archivist of the city, Jan de Hont, who happens to be a photographer in his own right on the architectural level, I believe. And I presented some photo prints to them so that they can add them to the city archive. A copy of the book, but also some of the extra photos, especially on the social side that I got. And I'll talk about that in a later episode because I want these projects to get their full focus, but I don't want to lose an hour, especially when we got Christmas gifts to talk about. However, I do have to dwell on this moment because it was so awesome and show you a couple more photos. One that the wife got that I particularly love. One that was taken by The Bruges Feeling by Frank, which is Frank Vervocht. I hope I'm saying your name right, Frank. He was invited and showed up, and he is one of the photographers around town having fun and looking good doing it. So I'm proud to show you a couple photos that I grabbed off Facebook that he was nice enough to catch. And there were more, but I'm trying to keep this short. So thank you, Frank, for coming and representing on the photos. And then just a couple other photos, me babbling my mouth off as I give my short little speech in English because I was not even going to try in Flemish to really speak from the heart at this level of things. And the mayor, the cultural alderman, taking a look. The quick photo snap afterwards with everybody and me pointing at the books, which are now on sale. Ho ho. And a photo with me and the wife and the mayor and Nico Blontrok, the cultural guy, because that's what you got to do with these things. Oh, and I got a little extra press out of it in the sense that, of course, ep11 Focus, one of the local news channels, in fact, one of the national ones, they came around and did a little piece on me. So that was rather nice. And Natalie, I thank you for your time and interest. And man, the piece looked great. And there's another copy of the book. Just to remind you, the book is out. It's available. It's real. Look, there's me in the corner holding it again. Bruges Landscapes, Unlocked for Light. A story of space, silence, and simplicity. By yours truly. Plug, plug, plug. Justify this to the tax man. And then move on from there. We're going to talk about gift suggestions in just a second as I go back to full screen very briefly. Let's check in if there's any questions. Most of you folks are quiet, but I do see you on air, and that's cool to see. Thank you very much. No questions this week, so that's cool because we want to move on to the gift suggestions. You don't want to hear just about my birthday and all my promo and stuff, although I hope you did enjoy it a little bit because I felt really good getting some. Cha-cha-cha. Let's move on to the whole gift-giving side for photographers in your life, beginner, intermediate, pro. I helped you last week, as I say, on the whole general summary and few ideas along the way about beginner, intermediate, pro gift giving. Overall, you got to think about, how we're photographers and we get a little bit specific. So if you're talking equipment, you want to be a little bit careful there. You might not want to buy a Nikon lens for a Canon body or vice versa, because that doesn't work if you don't know what I'm talking about. And also at the same time, we're kind of nerdy and specific with our gear. So unless you're really connected and paying attention to your partner as they blah, 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 blah about the old photography, do be careful on the specific purchases for the loved one in your life. That would be my first thought. My second thought, just to sum those up in case you don't want to dig through the last episode, is to support your local shops as much as possible. I mean, in this year where there are restrictions going on and all things are crazy in 2020, or at least feeling like it, it's more important now than ever that you support your local shops. They might have been closed like they were here in Belgium for a while, but they're now open again. And even if they are closed, and when they were closed, they all have websites. So, you can go online, you can buy it from them. They're going to make a little less, but they're going to survive this tough year. Even in a country like Belgium where we get subsidies, so we can thankfully still make the rent in between, or at least have a fighting chance. Help them with that fighting chance. Don't forget that if you live in Brugge, that the local photo shop is, of course, pt2 Nice, and they are not a sponsor of the show, but I love them, and I love my local camera shop. They really are top, so I am just going to briefly click over to there and remind you and me too that pt2 Nice is here in Brugge. Look at that shop on the opening photo. Nice wide angle, put together properly, all looking good. And look at all the gear they have, all the expertise they have with Hilda and Lieven behind the desk. And if this doesn't apply to you in Bruges or West Flanders, hey, your local camera shop needs you now more than ever, and you might need them, especially if you're shopping for a photo friend and you don't know what the hell your photo friend wants. Just a thought. And also think about the fact that they are starting to get very, very competitive with those big online shops if you need to watch your budget. All right, quick reminder to support your local business. It is what has got to be done, and I'm just poking around to get back to full screen. Cha-cha-cha. So fun being my own producer. Look at this. There's me back in color again. Oh, and look at that. The background I haven't mentioned, just in case to remind you and also mark it a little bit. One copy of Bruges Landscapes Unlocked for Light. 2 copies of Bruges Landscapes Unlocked for Light. 3 copies of the book you know by now, and the 4th copy of the book you know by now. Just so you know, they actually did deliver all 100 limited edition hardcovers. And while we're here, look at that. Hey, I pause on that because I have clinical grade ADHD and I'm back full screen in color, so I noticed it. And also I don't want to deny you some music because, as you found out, I love my vinyl and my music. In the corner, ladies and gentlemen, representing is Miss Dolly Parton with the Love album. My wife loves it and it's my birthday, so if you don't like it, bye-bye. Let's get back to photography. The ADHD can't bounce around too far on air, even if I am allowed to try one more sip of my beer. My West Fleetrin 6-pack that Steph bought me for my birthday. Sorry, beer friends. All right, I didn't go full screen so that you could dwell in pain that you don't have Belgian beer on hand, especially West Fleetrin. It's hard enough to get here. Let's talk some general ideas for gifting for your photographer in your life. I've grabbed some stuff around the house, and then we'll look at a couple of web links if we're long on time. But I figured this is some stuff in my life that you might be able to pick up for the loved one for photography in your life. On the beginner level, obviously you got a lot of options here, and I went through a lot of my mindset advice and even ideas on the last episode. Ooh, excuse me, good old Belgian beer. So this episode, I'm going to start with something I mentioned, I think, last episode, which is a camera strap. This is just quick, simple investment. You click this onto the camera side ring. done and easy. This happens to be a nice leather one, so you can buy one from like 5 to 50 euros. This happens to be a Holdfast product. And I just wanted to remind you on that, especially if you're a new listener. Moving on and keeping it quick, if you are going to go for the accessories in the beginner, intermediate, loved one in your life, you might want to go for some easy to guess gear. This is a blower. That's what she said. I go like this and I can feel air on my hand because it's pushing it out. And, well, basically, if you have to get dust off the camera without getting out the cloth, this is super, super convenient. And why don't we, just for the hell of it, do one at the microphone? Oh, look, we went into the yellows for that. Cheap, cheerful. If they don't have it, they'll know you thought of them for photography. And, you know, if you don't know anything about photography, worth thinking about. Getting a little more into it and I guess crawling into intermediate land a little more because some of this stuff gets more specific. Although there is one thing that I randomly grabbed before the show that I thought might be helpful. This is it happens to be for a USB 3 fitting for a phone, for a GoPro, for a lot of the new camera models, especially this year. And the reason this one looks all fancy and cool is because it's not the one that came with my GoPro or my smartphone or my camera that I did not buy this year. It's something I bought off of Amazon. It's an Anker, Anker, and it's a nice cloth reinforced, and in this case, 6 foot long, extra long, 180 centimeter, I believe, USB-C cable port. And I mention this because the ones that come with the phone are all right, but I think they're not fantastic. And especially if you're talking like travel or for somebody who uses this a lot in their life, I'm actually happy it's all going to USB 3 right now because that means we're getting a little more, cleaning up on the cable clutter and a lot less waste going on in the landfills. So, you're cheating a little bit on the landfill thing, but a quick and easy and stocking stuffer, as we call them back in Canada and the States down south. This could be a nice little thing to think about. And obviously this one's my own, so it's all wrapped up funny, but you can get them in a nice tight box. And I got this one on Amazon.com, but just go there or go to somewhere and say fabric or deluxe USB cable. And then just make sure, of course, you get the right fitting to whatever camera, to whatever phone, to whatever you need for that person you love. So that's a quick thought there on the early beginner, immediate, barely into intermediate, maybe even advanced side of things. Some of us didn't know about this for a while. Getting into the slightly more specific stuff, this is where you're probably shopping for someone at this point where they already have a camera or they're into photography. They're showing some style and some groove and it's getting serious. So you want to really focus in on something that's just beyond a cable or a strap or something like that. And you don't want to risk getting gear. Well, again, I got to say, just try and listen out to their photo world a little bit. Even ask them about it in a subtle way without saying gifting. And you might get a couple of ideas. Just let the conversation roll and then slide in. So what are you looking for most at the most obvious level of questions around Christmas? And just what do you wish you had? Where do you feel you're struggling? Especially with like the stuff of this. Get interested in the equipment and you might get some answers. But if all else fails, a USB drive for the storage could be useful, especially for the travel photographer in your life. I think you can see by the stuff I'm throwing out, I'm not sitting in a studio if I'm using straps or reinforced cables or blowers for dust out there in the depths of India. So I think a hard drive for the backup would be a smart move. You can think about an SSD drive, which is a non-spinning mechanical version of a hard drive. Those are quite common now, and you probably have one in your computer. You can also think about the traditional hard drive just on the cost side of things, especially since these newer drives that are all a little bit quicker and less moving parts are taking over. So if you're on a budget, think about one of these older ones. But really, either will do. And also, if you look at the slightly older design with traditional hard drives, you get a lot more storage for your buck at this point. So this could be something nice for when they start traveling and, need a little backup just to make sure they're safe for their photos on the road. And same at home. Back up, back up, back up. He says to himself, reminding he has to back up. All right, quick check into the questions. Make sure everyone's cool and happy if they have something to say. Johan says cheers, and I say cheers, santé. Anytime anyone writes cheers in the comments, I will have a drink. What to do on your birthday, hey, boys and girls? There's a few ideas, and I'm coming back to more. I just got to remember while we are here that I'm also streaming through Photo Tour Bruce, so sometimes that goes. Nope, we're all good there. All right, next gift suggestion for that loved one in your life. We're on to the intermediate side of things, so why don't we dive in? This is actually still in the box because it's an extra part I keep around. I got a couple cheap. This is really specific to Fujifilm shooters like me on the X series cameras, and I think actually, was it Lumix or maybe Olympus did some of these where the shutter button, and all you have to know here is if they have this on their camera, and if they have a Fujifilm, it's 9 times out of 10 got one. On the shutter button, there's a little hole, and like old cameras, you can still put one of those old school push the cable releases for delayed time photography or having it on the tripod. Now, side effect of that, and I'll even open it up, I think. No, I will not open it up. It's been sealed very, very well. Is this little thing, this button that you can only see in there. I can screw that into the shutter button on a Fujifilm X camera or other cameras that have that little hole that you can easily look at if they're away and their camera's out. If I can get one of these, and there are cheap versions on eBay as well as super deluxe ones from, the name eludes me because we're having beer on my birthday. Yeah, this could be a nice little thing for the Fujifilm shooter in your life and whatever other system is compatible. I would also say this goes back to like straps and little things that you can add to the camera. One thing that I grabbed, it's again a little more towards intermediates, and I don't have the camera anymore, so you're just going to have to believe me here. But if you look at this, this is a rubber shell. What's the brand again? Oh, it's been forever. Camera armor. You know, like armor on a tank for a camera. This is a rubber silicone for my old Nikon D90. And I put this over top. I've just preserved my camera a little bit more and like a smartphone, put all this padding over it so that when it gets knocked, when it gets dropped, and it will get knocked and it will get dropped, especially keeping in mind this is probably for travel, this could save my camera. And all you got to do is find out if your camera is compatible with that. So make sure that you get the model number of the camera if at all possible. Otherwise, don't buy this. Get them a gift voucher and maybe suggest something like this. And Andy says hi. Watch Andy's photo show live every Sunday at 8. Yeah, this served me well through what? Every trip through India, dear wife? Oh, yeah. I either had this for 3 trips. Let's see. Yeah, I had this one for 2 trips of 3 months ago through India. That was the 3rd time and the 4th time. 3rd time, it was traveling through northern India. 4th time, kicking around the beach. And, you know, obviously sand isn't going to help here, but it helped for bumps and knocks. And before that, I had one for my Nikon D200, and it served me rather well through those trips through India. And I had one for my Nikon D70. I've had it for all 4 of my Nikons that I took through India. 4 trips, 4 times this. It's like $50. All you have to do is find the camera model, and if one exists. Call it camera armor or camera silicone cover. There's your Google, there's your Amazon, there's your local camera shop if they have it. Ask them first. And there's my suggestion for a little protection. Moving on the gift-giving side of things for photographers. This is again also in the box, so to speak. So excuse me if you're uptight there. I guess you're watching a more uptight camera show. Well, that's right, we have fun here. This is a very specific accessory, and it is actually for... Oh, geez, I forgot to take it out. Excuse me, boys and girls. Enjoy the background. Yep, there it is. This is for a Manfrotto tripod plate. And you can see this is waiting for this, because this is so that I can take a camera clip or camera harness or even one of these camera straps. And then when I take the camera off the tripod but still want this mount so I can mount it and dismount it quickly, I can just clip in through this adapter that goes on a Manfrotto clip and have a reinforced one. Now you might be saying to me, if you know your photography, but Andy, on the Manfrotto ones, we have that strong metal attachment, the thing that we use to open and close it. Why would I change it from one of these Black Rapid ones, which are like $20? There it is if you need it. It's by Black Rapid. It's called a fastener tripod. Well, why is this off? Because it broke. It broke because I was not using one of these, and luckily the camera was okay. Thankfully, because of things like this camera gel protector. But next time I can just do it properly and do it like a proper photographer and grow and, do it the way it should be done if I have any option, choice, or somebody who loves me enough to sit through Andy's ramblings on photography to get to this little thing. Again, Black Rapid, there we go, fastener tripod. Sure. Hope this helps. Check it out. Moving on with things and getting a little enjoyment out of my Belgian beer on my birthday week. West Vleteren. They do decent beer in Belgium, so I feel all right here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick look. We're getting into the advanced side of things. Quick reminder, because it's so much fun, that the instant film cameras like the Fujifilm that I have in my hand, the square format with the digital workings so that I can just print selectively. That's my top choice if you have some bucks and want to have some photo fun. I have friends at Fuji, but they're not sponsoring me. Not in the least. Just so you know, disclaimer. And moving on to the gift-giving side of things that might be fun for the loved one in your life. This is a mini tripod. Many of you know it. It is a Joby Gorilla Pod. I find this one extremely useful, and you can get them in sizes from small to big. This is made for a big boy camera, so a little bit bigger than usual, but you've probably even seen them for, Belgian beer. Yes, you've probably seen them even this big for smartphones or little compact cameras. Very popular design, but Joby and the Gorilla Pod are one of the favorite ones I like to use. It's just so damn useful because you can maneuver this thing into all kinds of positions. And I guess using my arm, wrap it around stuff. So if for some reason you need your camera on your arm or especially your GoPro or something, you can do that. But more importantly, in your photography, you can hang it off a pole, a lamp, anything you need and can find and can work. This is a good little thing to throw into the travel backpack. And they do small, medium, large, extra large, hardcore, all that sort of thing. So take a look for the camera size and look at the weight because they'll be listed on every box. And just a nice little thing that I've had over the years that's been useful that you might not know about. Joby Gorilla Pod. Keep it in mind. Then, boys and girls, for a few more gifts, well, like I said earlier about gear and being very, very selective and wanting to be careful a little bit what you get your partner if you're not, so sure what their photography is up to. Well, let me show you an example. Just a quick thing. You might think, well, they have a tripod. They like night photography. They're always complaining about the tripod head. This is a fairly good tripod head. What is it? It is a Giotto. It's one of my older ones. And basically, like so many tripods, you loosen the thing and then suddenly you can start moving around the head. That all makes sense and is good. And obviously, if your friend is a beginner photographer, you can consider that. But, if you're going to look to upgrade them from, say, something like that, then you're going to be looking at things like this, which is a hardcore Manfrotto tripod head. I won't read off the serial number or anything, but you can see it has all sorts of things from subtle adjustments, all that sort of thing. Now, if you know about photography or have a photography friend that can help you out, especially a friend of your photography friend or loved one, start thinking around this kind of range. But at the same time, just realize there's lots of moving parts, and this is just 2 of about 10 types of tripod heads out there, or at least 5 types. So tread carefully. Just wanted to remind you, but also show you that you can, think about these things if you've been listening to your partner or can talk to one of their photo buddies. Moving on from things and just picking up some of the stuff that I grabbed before the show started. Nice little kitsch piece that you can find here, there, everywhere, internet, secondhand shops. And, this is only one example of what I'm thinking of here. And that is photography paraphernalia. Last week I talked about t-shirts, and I'm sure you've seen lens mugs that look exactly like a camera lens, but you can pour your coffee in it without getting hurt by the person whose lens that is. Well, this is a little bag that happens to carry, what's in here? Oh, my Lens Baby, which is a fun little toy that I might as well talk about in a second. But this is a bag that could be used for anything from day-to-day stuff to, photo-specific stuff like Lens Baby lens or any kind of camera lens that fits in here, or even just all those cables and bits, And if you see this at a charity shop for like 20 cents, like my wife does, and we have, 3 of them, I think, you're going to do pretty good for your photo friend, especially if they have a couple of gray hairs around their temples. It was my birthday. Boys and girls, moving on. Since we have it here, and I guess jumping into an intermediate tip, let's say at least if your partner has a Canon, a Nikon, a Sony, or whatever. This is something I mentioned last week, but I want to emphasize it again because it's just so much damn fun, and they get so underrated for what they do and their concept on things. This is a Lens Baby, which is a slightly retro-minded and just out-of-the-box kind of lens. I mean, this goes on my Fujifilm. You can buy them for Canon, Nikon, Sony. You can buy them for Fujifilm. You can buy them for Olympus, I believe, and all the other brands, Micro Four Thirds, etc. But it basically is an unusual lens that does unusual things. And in this case, it makes the focus go to selective areas of the frame. If I move it in that direction, the focus on the frame is going to be, let's say, in this corner to sort of transmit it through a live show. And I'm not giving Lens Baby a plug or anything. It's just about, if you do know something about your photo friend's stuff, have something, whether it's a clip-on lens or a Lens Baby or that kind of thing, throw them something out of the box. Show them you put some thought into it, and, surprise them. I said it last week, the creativity can sometimes be the biggest gift, where you get that inspiration from someone and fires off all these new ideas and new photos and that kind of thing. Holding on that, just to briefly check for questions, because of course I love to see if you're all here. Oh, and I told you that if you said cheers. Michael, Batman. You reminded me and others that a good photo tip is an extra memory card, which always comes in handy. Just need to be sure what it is. Just need to be sure exactly what is needed. I know what you're saying here, Michael. So yes, of course, a memory card, which I have many on standby on the desk, and I'm even going to shake the camera for, and you can see me close to the camera. This little thing, the thing that's essentially the film of our ages, so that you can record your photos beyond just the memory buffer in the camera. Very, very good suggestion, Michael, because these are critical and nothing happens without this. And also, Michael, you've got it right, Mr. Batman, because, you never have enough of these things, do you? We always run out of memory, especially if we're sort of drifting into the travel photography side of things. So I could say whether it's an 8 gig memory card, whether it's a 32 gig memory card, personally, they're cheap enough that I'd say, spend $30-40 if it's your loved one and get them a big memory card. 32 gigabyte, 64 gigabyte. That can be really, really useful in the sense that, you got to know if this person minds having all their eggs in one basket, but they could do the whole holiday with a memory card. I wouldn't recommend right to do one memory card. It's a bit of a different tutorial there because, of course, then all your eggs are in one basket, and that's not what I like in my photography. So get him a memory card. Excellent suggestion, Michael. And I will drink a little sip of Westmola to you. Cheers. Memory cards. Hey. It's my birthday. Ladies and gentlemen, continuing on, Miss Bazonsky says, on the emoji front, and I say, back. Hello. All right, checking over, making sure comments good. Yep, we're all cool, and the wife is not nodding in the corner, so we're cool. How long into this thing are we? Oh, 45 minutes. I don't know why I said I'd shorten these down to half an hour, because I'm having fun, and you guys seem to be. So let's continue through on the gift giving for photographers on this birthday week for Andy and the upcoming Christmas and holiday period for us all. Of the physical stuff, I'm sort of at the end of things. I mean, you can get a bottled beer opener from the Bruges Beer Experience if you really want to, make sure that they have a beer on hand for when they're doing that long-term landscape photography. Gotta support my local business. But I think as a last tip on the cameras and photography giving side of things before we click over to a couple of links on the whole website side of things, I'm just going to suggest once again a nice retro funky camera. Whether they're beginner, intermediate, pro, maybe even just barely caring what a camera is. This is a cool gift. You're supporting your antique shop. You're supporting your local street market vendor at those cool street markets that we want to continue. And Mrs. Andy gave me this a couple years ago from the secondhand shop, and I love it. Actually, I'd have to do this if I was taking her photo. There's the eyepiece. So, ladies and gentlemen, if all else fails, go back to the side of things where you're looking at accessories like an old school camera bag or an old school camera. You can even take this down to film cameras. I mean, you see the background over here in Andy Central, and I'm just drunk enough to walk away from the camera. Ho, 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 ho. I'm back. That was so far. A Nikon FE2, FM2. Yes, FM2, I believe, or FM. It's been a while, and I've had a bit of beer. An EM. This is with a 50mm lens. This is an old film camera that not many people are using anymore. Still works perfectly. And sounds so right. Let's just do that again for the old school. 50, 75 bucks on the secondhand website of your choice, or whatever secondhand shop you can go and support locally if they're lucky enough to be open in this tricky year of 2020. And if you know your photographer very deeply, I bought this for myself. This is the camera I used to travel with when I was on the road and loved it to pieces. An Olympus XE2. That's where XA. I am terrible on branding, at least tonight on my birthday. Aperture control, manual focus, exposure compensation, light, tight. You could put a flash on the side with a little screw-on attachment. Sneaky and silent. There we go. Even if they're not into this particular model, I don't think they're going to complain for something for the ornament jar and their fledgling YouTube, Facebook Live show. Had it for years. Loved it. It died. I got myself another for one Christmas or birthday. So yeah, old school cameras, accessories, anything that says photography is an option. Obviously, at that point, you can start looking at the whole website side of things in doing a Google search for photography gift for photographers or just gifts for photographers, and I think you'll find something on the way. Speaking of skipping around on websites, let me go to small camera again, and lucky we got our web browser up because I just want to go through a few more examples that I don't have handy. My wife's looking over at me, so I'm wondering if we have a question.
No, it's all good.
No, we're all good. We can roll forward. Like I said, folks, I can talk photography all day, all night, and every time in between. Questions are good and welcome. but we can fill an hour. Especially when, just to remind you, I went to City Hall this week and Focus WTV did a little feature on me. So I'm just going to sneak that in just to remind you that you can check all that out over at the Facebook page and see the full video. And thank you again, Focus WTV, for catching me on camera that fine morning and asking me about my new book, Bruges Landscapes Unlocked for Light by Andy McSweeney. Well, that's me. Anywho, moving through. Whoops. Oh, this is a quick reminder for Winterglow, Wintergloed. If you are going this week here in the beautiful city of Bruges, we talked about it earlier. I'm over at www.bruges.be. We're going to get back to the gift giving in a second, but I left this open. Let me just click on that and point out to you that this is the meter that right now is telling us what's going on as far as traffic density in the Winterglow area. So everything's looking clear. It's a quiet Sunday night. Just want to do that festival a favor and let you locals or otherwise who might make it over here know. And also remind you that we're trying here. It's good to have a city that seems to be at least giving it a go on respecting what we need to do right now. Anywho, gift giving for photographers. Crap is my first online suggestion. Let me just click over and see if anyone's still watching. Oh, you are. Thank you very much. I had a sudden phobia there. Here, I'll just have a sip of beer to help. It's my birthday, and this is Westmalle from Steph. So if you don't like it, I guess you found another photo show. Let's talk crap, ladies and gentlemen, on the gift giving for photographers. I got ADD, but we always snap back to it. This is something I should have actually mentioned at the top of the show because I think this is an excellent gift for the photographer in your life. It's also a really wonderful initiative that was started recently here in Belgium, and it's called Cultural Rescue Aid by Photographers. It was started by Nathan Doblar as well as other people who I don't know their name, unfortunately, because I only spoke to Nathan. This is by music photographers around here in Belgium who work professionally on the scene. And with 2020 and the whole lockdown situation in the cultural sector here, basically like many places crashing out with either being closed or only being able to have 80 people to a venue of 1,000. Let me just click on translate real quick if at all possible. Of course it won't work live on air. Nope. It's okay in Flemish. You can see over at crap.photo that the cultural sector is bleeding. To give you the translation and to skip through it, CRAP was born. CRAP is, again, Cultural Rescue Aid by Photographers, and these music photographers have donated their photography work to be printed up and sold and given for all the profits to the music sector and culture sector over this difficult year. Sorry if I screwed that up. We're doing a live show and I'm still getting used to it. We're only 11 episodes in. But I think you can see the point of things, which is, as I say, these music photographers letting their work be printed. And you can buy it. And, I mean, hey, I'm going to just skip to... of course, my... Billie Eilish. Look at this. Billie Eilish. Miss Bad Guy, live here in Belgium, looking fantastic. A print that you can have. All of this 55 euros after printing costs goes right to the artist. You get a great print. You're supporting a Belgian artist by making them feel fantastic for being part of this initiative, which has over 26 Belgian photographers, I believe, at the moment. And you can see a little list of them there. And, I mean, they've just got some fantastic work. I happen to know Jonas over at joepix.be, and he's donated over Niels de Stadsbader, Slipknot for you Slipknot fans, Bart Peters for you Bart Peters fans. Look at this. Biscuit Park, some kick-ass Iron Maiden, some wild-ass Slipknot, some Airborne, some more Bart Peters, And kneels again, but looking good. Look at that. If you love that artist, I'm going to even click on that one because that kills it. Look at what Jonas did at Grass Pop in 2019 when everything was normal, or at least not this, in 2020. He saw Biscuit Park. He kicked ass with what looks like a fisheye rocking it heavy, and you can have a photo print for a mere 55 euros, and you have some options on the sizes. Let's make that smaller. Look at this. Just pay 75, you get 29 by 42 centimeters. You can take it up to an A2 for 135, and every penny goes to the musical sector, thanks to this beautiful initiative by CRAP, Cultural Rescue Aid by Photographers, and tes Belgisch. So if you happen to be a Belgian listener, you're supporting your scene, you're supporting your culture, and you're making these photographers feel awesome. There you go. I found my groove explaining this. It is brilliant, and if you need something for the photographer in your life who happens to like music, let's go back to some of these artists. My wife and I like Nick Cave. This is one of the most beautiful in the selection. Sorry, everyone. This one just really kicks ass. Look at that. Look at that. Let's go with this one. Down at the Rabbit Hole, 2018 for Diemx Dix. I totally butchered that name, but I think anyone would, at least unless they were Belgian. Yes, my friend, beautiful photo. My friends, a beautiful photo you can own and support the scene. 3 sizes, every penny to the cultural sector. All thanks to CRAP, Cultural Rescue Aid by Photographers. And to remind you, crap.photo, P-H-O-T-O, will get you to the website. It's just that easy. And I will say in a related way, and this isn't self-promo for me, although it does happen to help my cause. Let's close that tab and go to andymcsweeney.com, my website, where you can see Photographer on the Loose and all the stuff. But most importantly, when we go to the most recent episode of my podcast, This Photo Life, you can see here that I had a chat with Nathan Doblar, who I mentioned earlier, and we talk all about CRAP. We talk about this initiative in detail, what it means to him and the artists involved, and what they hope to do with it, where they hope it grows, and, you know, where the art can go. So check it out, as well as links to all the various websites. And once again, just in case I butchered it over this birthday week where I'm daring to have 3 sips of beer, crap.photo, crap.photo. You type in that website, you'll get to see all these beautiful works and support your scene. Yeah, so there's that. Let's close that and get to a couple more gift ideas before we wrap things up. We have a few viewers. Hello, hello. If you write cheers in the comments, I will have a birthday beer and get even a little more drunk. Da 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 da. Never say Westmahala to a West Fleetrin. It's a West Fleetrin. That's how bad I am at branding. I understand why why I'm not a brand ambassador. I always butcher the name on air. West Fleetrin. Cheers. Birthday week. From Steph, whose name I at least got right. Johan gets a like for that right now. Thank you. All right, boys and girls, you can see I'm still in the web browser side of things, and we're going to go on a little bit longer for the gift giving for photographers. It's getting a little more sophisticated as far as the advice is going. I mean, we went through earlier for the beginner, and you can always watch this on the replay. You know, things like USB cables or just memory cards, like suggested by Mr. Batman in the comments. Camera straps and all that sort of thing. Just hit replay if you want to watch that. Now I've given away, by being in web browsing mode, my next tip, which is something for the photographer in your life if you have a little cash sitting around and want to treat them right, or use the holidays as a time to combine like purchases that are in the wind with holiday cheer and all that sort of stuff. I bought myself a chair. It's a Christmas and birthday gift to me. I'm sitting in it. You can see it right here. Look at that. Ooh. 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 it was not worth going full screen for it, was it? Because we have a web browser right here and I can show you just the kind of thing I'm talking about. In fact, I'm just going to skip the whole shopping side of things. Generally, go to the stool I bought, as we say in Flemish. There's a stoel, eh? With a little A at the end. And you can see, even though I didn't quite have to pay $305 because it was on promo, although I did pay the extra $20 to have them include assembly and an extra year on the warranty, that I got a nice ergonomic chair at the end of the day. And I mention this as a gift for your photographer because, I mean, especially this year with everything going on in 2020 and what tourism and such is going to look like for my photo tour here in Bruges in 2021, I'm probably going to be on the desk a little more often than I was previously. And also, with a birthday, my body is starting to age a bit. I am not 20 anymore, even though you can't see as many wrinkles through a webcam. So, I buy a better chair. I get something with the extra neck support. I get the whole breathable material, so when it's summer and we're getting a 40-degree heat wave rolling through the Andy office up here on the top floor, I'm not sweating out my chair. And you can see my armrests have been restored, but this armrest and the other one go down, so I can do this radical turn that I like to do during the Andy's photo show every Sunday, 8 p.m. live on Facebook. So whether you're doing a live photo show or just taking photos and sitting down for like 6-7 hours on the edit, especially the advanced photographers when we really get into it, a chair. Something to enjoy, something to be comfortable, something to look nice in the house, a little class. It may be worth an extra 20 euros a year or whatever. And get something with options would be my suggestion if it's a business chair sort of a mentality. I can go, let's do it. What the hell? Oh, there you go. It's like being at the dentist. Can even put this back. So I can take that little nap in between photo edits that I like to take sometimes. But of course, I have to do that to sit up properly again. So yeah, chair, it's fun. It works. It's something I have and I can highly suggest. And if you're in Belgium, you might want to look at Bruno. They are an online retailer, but they're here in Belgium, so I'm supporting local best I can, especially on my budget. It's an investment. Think about it. And of course, think how there are cheaper options and different designs and all sorts of things. I did hours of research and I will not bore you there. All right, next gift you might want to get the photographer in your life. Oh, look at that. It is Bruges Landscapes Unlocked for Light, a story of space, silence, and simplicity. I believe that is that photo book that I finally got delivered here, live and in person. It's available over at phototourbruges.com/unlocked for light as one word, like right up there. But just type that into Google and think about just typing in phototourbruges.com. You'll find this project page where you can see the full gallery with all 49 photos plus the bonus shot after lockdown, as well as read the first 20 pages of the book or buy the book. Hey, you can buy the book. It supports my work. It's only a 50. There's only 100 of them. You saw how big that was at 28 by 28 centimeters per page. Just got to say it so that we can justify all this marketing towards the taxes at the end of the year. It's a gift for your fellow photographer. It supports my work. Just saying. Oh, moving on. 2 questions.
2 people say cheers.
2 people say cheers? Oh, dear God, I have to drink two sips of this beautiful Westvleteren 12-degree beer. We might not make it till the end of the episode, boys and girls. Cheers to photography, to birthdays, to wonderful wives who spoil you on your birthdays, and to Steph for the Westvleteren. That's one.
That's for Philip Vermeulen.
That's for Philip. Santé, Mathieu. And
Michael Keaton.
And that one is for Batman. I'm glad you like that joke, man. Anyways, suggestions for gifts for photographers. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Damn it, I love Belgian beer sometimes. Maybe we'll just start a beer show. How about that? I sit here, I drink Belgian beers, I get more drunk, we talk about whatever the hell we like, and we just forget about photography. It's how I feel sometimes in my neuroses. Boys and girls, ideas for photographers could include a monitor, but like I said, be real careful if you don't know about monitors or what your photographer is looking for. Again, this is where listening and all this sort of thing comes in. And if nothing else, do a quick Google search that gets you to a website like creativeblock.com, where you have the best monitors for photo editing in 2020. Look at that. All I typed in was best monitor for photography 2020. I got some research underway, and then I'll listen to my photo friend and see, are they complaining about the light reflecting off their screen? Do they want a big bad wide ass because they like doing panorama photos and or just want to show off? Or do they want something that looks very Apple but isn't Apple? If you're shopping for your photo friend and looking at the $8,000 Apple monitor, good work on the savings. And hey, related to computer monitors, I know I had it up there for a reason. This is a little thing that you might want to get your photo friend that is a safe buy in my books. And this is a screen calibrator. Now, this gets slightly techy, but I swear I'll try and keep it clear and fairly simple, especially after all these fine beers. Well, the Spider screen calibration. Go to spyderx.datacolor.com. I think it's more datacolor.com. Yes, datacolor.com. And you'll see the Spider system, which is a screen calibrator that just hangs off like you're seeing here in the demo. And then the software, you can help, basically it'll help that photographer calibrate their screen so they're actually seeing correct colors, schemes, and everything else. It uses software, and then you set your settings accordingly until it says yay. That was an oversimplified version of it, and like I said, check out datacolor.com or just type in screen calibration to Google to get an idea of things. But this isn't the cheapest toy in the camera side of things, but look at that. $129 on sale, at least here in Europe on euros. That's worth thinking about. And Camera Express has it, but so does Art and Craft here in Belgium, and so does probably my local Photoshop, Photo Coup de Nice. Or they could probably arrange it real quick if they're a good Photoshop, which they'd have to be to survive to 2020 and beyond. Yeah, quick little idea. And, actually I wanted to do this too because I'm going to pop over to their website. This, friends, is unrelated to the Spider, but it's useful in photography if your camera friend is getting a little bit nerdy about colors. It's just called a color chart. And that usually is like $10 to $40, depending how fancy they present themselves or how it collapses or whatever. But that can be a nice little gift for the photographer in your life if they're just boosting up a little bit past beginner. Cruising around, keeping it on the loose, giving you camera ideas on Andy's Photo Show. Oh, and over at fstoppers.com, just for some closing advice towards the end of the episode. Here, giving you advice a little bit drunkenly on our birthday week for the photographer in your life. My wife gave me a face, and now she's laughing. All right, I better wrap this up soon before I get way too drunk or start babbling like I'm way too drunk. One beer, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a cheap date. Yes, this is the article that recently popped up at fstoppers.com, and I thought it was a great example of just something that I'm a big believer in, unlike having to get pop-ups everywhere when I go to a website. This is the idea of just buying a secondhand lens for your partner if you know the lens mount. And, this is a perfect example of it. Again, be real careful with the gear, but do be ambitious, or at least think of this for future years. This is a third-party lens called Tokina for the company name, and it happens to be a wide angle. Ignore those numbers, just look at 11 to 16 millimeter f2.8, because for us that means wide angle and with lots of light coming in on the aperture. There's wide open, lens as far as light coming in, so we can do more low light photography or faster photography depending. And I know that gets a little technical if you're totally alien to photography, but if you're watching the photo show this far, you're probably doing reasonably well. And it's the kind of lens that you can buy in a third-party way that'll fit to any system. You just have to know if they're Canon, Nikon, or Sony, and if they have the mount available, you can buy it, especially at your local camera shop. But it is actually a particularly nice lens that has existed for a few years, which is also where it gives you folks on a budget a little bit of an idea to think about the used gear that's still compatible with the cameras that we just bought last year. This is what I'm sure if I go through the article over on fstoppers.com, you can check it out for yourself. Price $340, 250 pounds for a wide angle camera lens that gives gorgeous shots like this. And I've used Takina. I'm a big fan. They're pretty damn good. If you have that kind of budget kicking around, look on the secondhand side of things for your photo friend. Don't know, it came out a little bit random, and I'm going to blame a double cheers on that, especially the second one to Batman. But, yeah, things to think about for your photo friends. And on a more simple level, goes back to the last episode where I talked about, even if they're intermediate or advanced photographers, a clip-on lens, so they suddenly have a wide angle on their smartphone. Little things like that, just typing photography gifts will get you stuff from advanced to camera clips to everything in between, and could work out. All right, last tip of the day is, of course, to check out Bruges Landscapes Unlocked for Light, but I've plugged it a couple times, so I'm just going to flash it and leave it. Ho, ho, ho. Now, let me check in at Andy Central because I'm probably seeing Lightroom in the background. Yes, indeed. So let's click over to the big camera. It's time to wrap things up, but of course I'm going to take a quick look over to the comments to see if I have any questions or last drinks to have. I see Johan laughing because he got me to drink, and that's fine. I get cheers from Batman. Thank you, everyone, for that and everything else, and hellos and likewise. Thank you, Philip, for the Sante. Yes, these are all comments that we've drank to or commented on in one way or another here on Andy's Photo Show. I hope it's been helpful to you. We've gone over the hour, but hey, it's birthday week, so like in Belgium where you buy everyone a drink on your birthday, we've done extra time on me, no charge, just like the rest of this episode. Hey, it's part of the fun, at least for right now. And actually, it seems like it's going well as far as what I'm feeling on this, especially in the sense of just talking photography in one way or another, considering that 2020 took away all my work as Photo Tour Bruges, or at least next to the 7 tours for this year. So, hope you're enjoying it and enjoying my flow as I figure this thing out on the live video front, especially for my nerves. If you enjoy the show, please make sure to tell a friend, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff that gets the algorithm happy and showing the show to more people and gets me a little more glory so that I can do this show with full confidence and without stuttering or getting drunk on my birthday. Speaking of which, it's a West Fleeton. Doesn't take much, even though I'm a cheap date. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't mind a raging alcoholic talking about photography in one way or another every week and making bad jokes about whatever he can along the way, please feel free to tell everyone and tell the algorithm by liking, sharing, subscribing to Andy's Photo Show. And don't forget, you can catch us on the replay anytime, including over at youtube.com/Andy McPhoto. And hey, if you're over at YouTube on my channel checking out a video, why not subscribe there? Because it really makes a big difference, especially hitting that notification bell. Sorry, I know all the content producers do it, but I'm, especially in the early days, one of them, so I got to get the word out. It's actually going to go down a little bit because I'm tired of saying this stuff, and we're just going to go for full fun here continuously on Andy's Photo Show in one way or another. So that's all going on, and that is the ramble of the show. I am Andy McSweeney of Andy McSweeney Photography. Thank you so much for tuning in to Andy's Photo Show here Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central European Bruges time. And feel free to tune in next week because we'll be talking more and very specifically and probably less rambly because the beer won't show up, about winter glow, which of course, as you know if you listen to this whole episode, is Wintergloed here in Bruges. The light festival that I showed you earlier, we're going to talk exclusively about that as far as getting beautiful photos there and just generally when you're dealing with a light show, whether in Bruges or otherwise. So a little bit of night photography talk from the actual shooting all the way through to the editing to whatnot and whatever. I think that's all there is to say. There's a few of you listening, and I really appreciate you making it through to the end of the show, especially on birthday week where I have consumed almost one full Westvleteren. I can't believe I called it Westmalle earlier. The police are going to be here later for that. Westvleteren. And yes, thank you everyone for your birthday wishes. Thank you everyone also for your wonderful wishes around the release properly and presentation to City Hall of Bruges Landscapes Unlocked for Light, a story of space, silence, and simplicity. There are a few copies left, and I wouldn't mention it otherwise. You know what I'm saying. Pick one up. If you're in Belgium, you'll have it by Christmas. If you're in Europe and you order soon, you might have it by Christmas. And if you're in North America, you can write on the Christmas card, I got you Andy's new book, Out of Bruges. Limited edition to 100 copies, no less. At least on the hardcover. So that's all said and done, and you know who I am and what I'm up to. Tune in next Sunday if you enjoyed the show, and you know what to do at this point. It's time to put me down, pick up the camera, get out there, and get shooting. I'm my own producer, so I have to sign off. Okay.